Hello everyone, Bernina Jeff here in Grand Junction. Today I'm going to show you what oil you should use on your sewing machines and the recommendations I have on my favorites and the ones I've tested and the ones I probably wouldn't recommend. So here we go. Bernina recommends a Velsolite number 10 oil. I pack it in the yellow capped dispensers that I sell here. It is recommended for moving parts on the sewing machine. It is a very highly rated oil. It has corrosive protection. It is just really good product. And it's a little heavier weight than the Velsolite number 6. This is for the 7 series, the new 5 series, the new 4 series on the hook only. That's their 9-hook system. They have pads inside the hook that you oil. And this lighter weight oil does not contaminate those pads and will continue to flow through the pads. And you're supposed to oil the hook on that machine daily. And I dispense that in the red cap oiler tip. I call these my perfect tip oilers because they don't leak. This little red tip on there keeps the oil from coming down, so you can lay it inside your drawer and everything else. So I sell hundreds of these a month. They're a really good product. So those are products by Mobile. The back side of them here tells you how good it is. It's good oxidation resistance, rust and corrosion protection, effective wear, and it even helps keep water and such out. We live in western Colorado, and it's basically a high desert. Our average humidity is about 10 to 20%, and oil tends to dissipate at low humidity. I actually worked at a bowling center when I was 17, and when we conditioned the lanes with certain oils, we had an oil for high humidity and an oil for low humidity. So I know oil dissipates in the humidity levels. So when they test these machines out at sea level, Switzerland, wherever they're at, Thailand, they're probably testing them out at 90 or 80% humidity and at sea level. So their oils tend to last longer. So you want to, if you're in a drier climate, you're going to want to oil more often than in a higher humidity climate and one that doesn't have high temperature ranges. So there are some oils that I do not recommend that you may find out there, and one is the 3-in-1 oil. 3-in-1 oil, it's great for door hinges, and it says household use. Doesn't say anything about sewing machines on there. So I wouldn't use this on a sewing machine unless I was stranded on a desert island. That's all I had to use. There are extra things in here. The other thing I would never use on a sewing machine is liquid wrench. These have solvents and such, and they're going to deteriorate or cause the oils you put back on the area to not be as good as they were. One time, Vaseline was used on the featherweights. I don't recommend Vaseline on any sewing machine parts. I really don't recommend white grease. The white grease tends to get hard and stuff after a while. They will work, but I just don't recommend it. If I was using a grease, I like Tri-Flow clear synthetic grease. This is great where you have a metal gear and you have maybe nylon oblong circles, eccentrics that are rubbing on a flat surface. So this helps grease those parts, metal to plastic and things like that. You don't want this on metal spinning, areas. Singer makes a sewing machine oil. It's designed for sewing machines. It works fine. It just doesn't have all the same properties as the Mobile, but if this is what you have, this will work. When it's in a plastic container, I would actually, hadn't used it in a while, I would actually pour some into a small container to see if it's still clear and very thin. Zoom Spout's a good oil. This is what you're going to find in a lot of your sewing machine places. Zoom Spout, make sure it's sewing machine oiler. They make a Zoom Spout that is just regular oil, and see, look at it, it's a whole lot different color and everything else. This is not for sewing machines. You want to make sure it's a Zoom Spout sewing machine oil. And it's got a spout that pulls out. I always lose the little red cap, so I found that the wire connectors, screw those on there and they hold it in. This doesn't have the best seal, so if it gets tipped over, you're going to have a pool of oil somewhere. It's nice that you can get in and reach with it. They're a good oiler, so if you have it. The other one that is okay is Tri-Flow, and Tri-Flow super lubricant. Some of them have the Teflon additive in there, which is good, and they have a little tip that slides in and out, so that kind of gets at it. And if you can't get the oilers I sell, this will work pretty good. However, I found it dissipates quite fast. So in our climate here, where my yellow capped oil would last a year, this might last a month or a month and a half. So you're going to have to go back and re-oil things more with some of these oils. One that I really don't care for, but it will work in a pinch, is this LB5, because it's a spray. There's times that you don't want to take all your covers off, so I will actually isolate the squeak, and maybe I'll poke this in there and then give it a squirt without having to take all the covers off. But you gotta know where you're squirting it at. You don't want to squirt on electrical boards or computer boards or the motor. So another one that I will use, but it is the Tri-Flow with the spray, and it also will come with the Teflon additive. I found that it's great when you're opening up the bottom of a serger, got it all cleaned up, give it a spray underneath there. It does kind of dissipate real quickly again. I mean, in less than a month, things are squeaking again. I'm going to show you later how you can actually use canned air in certain machines. Most people say it's a no-no. It can be done if you know what you're doing. One thing I never use on a sewing machine, some of my old techs used to, is WD-40. It's not a true lubricant. It basically means that it takes water away. Water, W stands for water, D stands for some word on that. However, it will be great for taking your labels and pieces of tape and stuff off of the surface of your sewing machine. So I'll use that on taking labels and gooey and stuff areas off, even on the spindle where it gets all gooey from the spools. So I kind of like my old things, so I found some old oilers and stuff, so I use those. And people will ask me, I just got your oil and I've had it out on the ledge of my windowsill and it's starting to turn tan. Well, it's got a suntan. They will turn darker on you. These oils are still good if you turn them upside down and the bubbles go straight up to the top in no time at all. Even if it keeps turning darker and darker, it's good for 5 to 10 years. But if you can keep it out of the sunlight, it will not turn dark as quickly. And even if you have some other old oils and they have turned amber or like the color of syrup, and if it turns, it's got good viscosity, you can still use it. When it gets really slow and icky, I tend to use it just for door hinges. I do sell these Perfect Tip oiler bottles empty, so you can buy those empty, and then you can put your oil in there. So again, the yellow capped oil is for all moving parts. The red capped oil is for the 5 and the new 5 series, the new 4 series, and the 7 series 9-hook system. And let's show you real quick how you can use the canned air. And if you don't feel comfortable using this, then don't. But you have to dismantle your sewing machine before you use canned air. If you just open it up and blow the canned air in there, the dust goes up inside and it follows this whole channel, and that dry dust is going to attach it to anything that's moist, like oiled parts. So I've found gears where people have used this for years and the gears are no longer have teeth. They're just one solid packed in piece of lint. And the machine runs very, very rough, and they've actually ruined gears and stuff. So if you're going to use this, there's 2 things about the canned air you need to know. Is you don't use it upside down. What happens when you use it upside down is moisture comes out. Look at that. That's not good. It's actually moisture. That's the propellant. You use it straight up, and you use it in small bursts, little small bursts. You don't hold it down like hairspray. You got to just small little things. then you have to take your machine apart. So the places I use the canned air is on the nose cover here and down by the feed dogs. So we're going to take this one apart. And then these little squatty screwdrivers are great for getting these out. So I hold it down, and now we got the screws off the needle plate. We'll take the needle plate off, and usually there's a whole bunch of lint in between the feed dogs there. And I'll only take the bobbin case out. Most people have a hard time putting this all back together, so I leave that together. Now, you have to do this from the back side. You never want to blow it inward. You want to blow everything out. So make sure it's straight up. Little burst. Same way here. Straight out. Little burst. I can do a little burst here. And now you have got most of the lint and such out. You can put your machine back together. Again, never use the can at an extreme angle and do little bursts. And never blow it inward. So that will keep your machine nice and clean and lubricated. I have other videos on where you need to oil. I just wanted to go through the different types of oils today. There is another large container of oil. This is an industrial sewing machine oil. It's designed to go in the bottom trough of a big industrial machine, and it actually pumps oil through those things. So this is a specific oil for that, and I wouldn't use that to lubricate on a regular basis the parts of a regular sewing machine. So there you go. One other thing, I learned that gun oil from that you use on pistols and rifles has solvents and such, and it's really not designed for sewing machines, so I wouldn't use that. So I'd recommend a sewing machine oil that says sewing machine oil on it, and oil at least once a year. I recommend 3 or 4 times a year. When you bring your machine into a service department, if you do that every 18 months to 2 years at least, every year if you're using it a lot, that's going to keep your machine running. You've got an investment here, so it's like your car and oil changes. You need to go through and do that. Again, Bernina Jeff, my oil and other great tools and gadgets are on my Shopify account, and that is bernina-jeff.myshopify.com. You can call up the shop and order, and that's 970-256-1293. Call after 9:30 Colorado time. And you can check out things on my website, and that's www.hifashiongj.com. Thank you very much, and please subscribe. Thanks.